Hey everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So I appreciate that it's only mid-February at the time that I record this vlog, but I might already have seen the best film of 2020. I'm talking about Parasite, the new movie by Bong Joon-ho, and I know what you're going to say. This film came out in 2019 in most, if not all, countries around the world, bar the UK. But for the purposes of this review channel, I'm basing this on the films that are released between the 1st of January 2020 and the 31st of December 2020. So for that reason, Parasite is a 2020 release in the UK. And what an extraordinary film it is. No doubt you've heard the publicity on this. If not, you've no doubt seen the film already. Bong Joon-ho, I think, is a genius. He's an astonishing director. He hasn't made a bad film yet. He's one of the leading lights of the so-called South Korean new wave cinema, which also encompasses filmmakers like Park Chan-wook with Old Boy and Kim Ji-woon with the likes of The Good, the Bad, the Weird. Bong Joon-ho is a really interesting director for the way that he fuses sort of audience-friendly, entertaining popcorn concepts with absolutely lacerating social commentary and very, very unpredictable shifts in tone. All of his films, in keeping with his South Korean contemporaries, actually, all of Bong Joon-ho's films offer quicksilver shifts between almost moments of light comedy to moments of savage violence, and then you'll go to a moment of surrealism, then you'll go back to something being comedic again, then you'll often get a moment of very, very well-founded melancholy and introspection, which kind of makes you ruminate on the entire experience of what you've just watched. I mean, this is kind of endemic to his particular brand of cinema, and this has come through all of his films, including Memories of Murder, Mother, The Host, Snowpiercer, and Okja. All of those are the feature films that he's made so far. I'd easily put him in the top 5 directors working in cinema at the moment, and yeah, Parasite might very well be the best thing that he's done so far, which is no small compliment. I don't really want to go too much into the plot because I think the trailer actually does a pretty good job of not giving away the surprises, both narrative and tonal, that the film offers. Suffice it to say that it's a blackly comic social satire with horrific undertones about a less well-off Korean family who basically inveigle their way into the lives of their wealthier counterparts with initially very, very funny but ultimately drastic consequences. And I don't really want to describe the plot beyond that. I want to talk about this in terms of emotional generalities because, I mean, this is a film that frankly you have to go and see, and I'm aware that this is a film review, and if you're watching this wanting to know why you ought to go and see it. So I'm going to try my best not to actually reveal any particulars of the plot. Suffice it to say that it's a bracingly unpredictable, beautifully shot and brilliantly acted film that in keeping with all of Bong Joon-ho's movies, completely wrong foots you at every single turn. You think that you've kind of got the measure of where this story is going, and then all of a sudden something will come out of the blue and a whole other kind of avenue of storytelling possibilities will open up. But none of this feels erratic. It all feels kind of germane to the story that Joon-ho is telling, even though you do get these very, very abrupt shifts, not just in tone, but also kind of you almost head into different genres within the course of one film. It all feels completely organic to the story that he's telling. It doesn't feel erratic or ill thought out. I think what he's doing is Joon-ho is looking at the idea of a parasitic society, which kind of that theme kind of evolves and scuttles around as the film develops. Initially, what you get in the form of this lower class family whose status is brilliantly reinforced by the cinematography. What you get in this film, you get a constant kind of craning up. You start at the top and then you crane down. That is a repeated visual motif throughout the film, as if to reinforce the fact that although this family invade the lives of the wealthy family and they kind of wear the clothes, they kind of imitate the lives of these richer people. Ultimately, they are not richer. It is all just pretense. And ultimately, again, without wanting to get into too many particulars of the plot, that the film has a tragic arc to it, which is that Junho is talking about a kind of ingrained class structure that basically puts everyone in their allotted stations. Quote Tilda Swinton's character Mason from Snowpiercer, incidentally. The tragedy of the story is that no matter how much you might want to wear the clothes and play the part of somebody who is richer and more well off than yourself, ultimately everybody has kind of got their allocated position in society. And what this does is this grafts some really, really biting and actually very, very moving social commentary onto the movie. And this is where the film is so good. The film isn't just an exercise in shock tactics and black comedy, although there is a lot of that. The film actually does have something very, very profound to say, and it articulates those themes very, very well. And I think this is probably the reason why so many people are talking about this movie. I mean, you have a South Korean movie that has really broken out into the mainstream like few others have done, probably not since Old Boy, the Park Chan-wook film that I mentioned earlier. And Parasite has been nominated for Best Picture and Best International Feature at the Oscars, which is a first in either category. As I record this is prior to the Oscars happening. I frankly want it to win both prizes, and I think the fact that it has been nominated for those prizes, and the fact that so many people who might not necessarily be engaged with South Korean cinema are engaging with this film, is because it really does have very, very profound things to say about society, not just South Korean society. I mean, this is a story that could take place anywhere. It could take place in the UK, the USA, whatever. It just so happens that this is a story taking place in South Korea. I imagine there are probably some cultural nuances that are specific to that country within the film, which I'm not lucid or articulate enough to pick up on. But that is the reason why the film works. That is the reason why the film burrows under your skin and stays there. It's not just the fact that it's very, very funny and it abruptly swerves into shocking territory, because it does do both those things brilliantly well all the way through. It's a very funny film. It's a very unpredictable film. It's often a very horrifying film, but it's that element of sobriety and melancholy that reflects on the world in which we're living in now. And I think that Junho is a filmmaker with a social conscience. He's a filmmaker with a social conscience who wants the audience to have a good time. This isn't a polemical, heavy-handed movie. It's a rip-roaringly entertaining one. It's very, very funny. And just simply trying to keep up with where it's going is both an exhausting and exhilarating experience. Again, anyone who's seen the likes of Snowpiercer or Memories of Murder will already be well versed in this director's films. It's beautifully acted across the board. Song Kang as the father of this poorer family. Song Kang appeared in Snowpiercer. He's just great. I mean, he initially appears to be a bit of a sort of idealistic dreamer character who is, he gives these kind of like sort of vaguely kind of idiotic, kind of gnomic, inspirational sort of epithets, and then as his character kind of develops throughout the movie, the story kind of gets darker and the character kind of darkens, well, as indeed it does with all of the characters in the film. I think it's really terrific. It looks brilliant. I mean, there is a sense of, when you're in the house of the richer family, which is all like glass fronted, it's got a lovely lawn, it's very spacious, and there are a sense of like characters all kind of scurrying around within this space. Again, I mentioned this in relation to the lighthouse. You almost get a kind of like, almost like Fawlty Towers, like British farcical air to it, in terms of like, if someone runs around that corner, are they going to bump into someone? If someone finds somebody hiding underneath that table, it's all going to kick off. And I think it is very, very funny, but it has a depth to it, and it has a compassion to it, a melancholy to it, which kind of cuts through the more subversive qualities to really, really stay with you afterwards. I thought this was a really, really tremendous piece of work. I have to mention the score as well. It's really well scored. It goes from these kind of like monolithic classical arrangements at the beginning, which appear to have a degree of kind of formal structure to them, which mirror the kind of composed structure of the rich people's house that we see. And then as the film kind of descends more into chaos. So the music kind of descends and fragments as well, which is it's a really, really well scored film, really well shot, really well acted, brilliantly written and directed as you would expect from Bong Joon-ho. But it's that undercurrent of compassionate social commentary. It's not just the laughs that will stick with you in this. I think it's terrific to see that this film has broken out with so many people. Again, as I record this is prior to the Oscars. I really hope I'd like it to win all the Oscars that it's going up for. Whether it will or not is another matter entirely. It's called Parasite. It's out now in the UK. If you've seen it, drop me a comment here at Kubrick Corner, and I'll see you soon. Bye.